Hi there, Stacy Harmon coming to you with this edition of Table Topics RE. I wanted to expand upon the discussion that Scott, Bob, and I had earlier in episode 4, I believe, about the strategy behind what we have done here with Table Topics RE. I think there's so much to learn, and I wanted to give you a 7-bullet point list of actual tangible things and steps that we took in order to launch Table Topics RE online, so that you can maybe learn a couple of things about the process we went through and apply it to your own online strategy. Obviously, you're going to have to adapt it to exactly your situation, but I wanted to tell you the 7 things that we did and give you some insights into our thought process so that you can work to formulate your own online strategy. So first, what did we do? We picked a name. We wanted to make sure that we had a name that was available as a URL. We did URL research to make sure we could get the domain name. We then also made sure that it was available on Twitter and on YouTube, which were the 2 channels that we thought were going to be very important for us in distributing our message. And your distribution channels may be the same, they may be different. I also researched Facebook to see if it was available, and we're in the process of securing that. So there was those 3 things we looked at initially. You'll want to look at all of the channels that are going to be applicable to your business, but those are the ones that we selected. It was very purposeful. We made sure that they were available. There's sites out there like namechecker.com or checkusernames.com. You can Google username check and be taken to these sites that allow you to put in your desired username and scan through all of the major social networks, make sure that the name you want to use is available and consistent across all of the channels. So that's the first thing we did. Part 2 is we decided to go with a hub and spoke system. You've heard us talk about that already several times, and it'll come up again. And for our purposes, we decided to go with a WordPress hub right in the middle of our strategy. For us, WordPress is the most desirable solution because, number one, Scott's got a lot of great WordPress skills, so we're lucky to have a great, talented developer right as part of our team. That's something many of you will need to probably outsource, but it doesn't change our recommendation because WordPress websites really are very flexible. We went with a self-hosted solution, which means that we put it on our own server space that we've rented. We're not sharing it at WordPress.com, but certainly that's something that you could go and do today and get started. Blogging's very Google-friendly. SEO are things that we're taking into consideration, so that's another reason we selected WordPress as our hub. It's certainly very affordable too. We didn't have to really invest anything. We're able to use a templated solution. We've got, Scott basically donating his time to our team. Obviously, labor is something that would be a cost for many of you, but it's very affordable. You're going to have labor no matter what type of website you build, and it's going to be less with a WordPress solution because they're so user-friendly and easy to have set up. It's also very quick to launch. Scott was able to get our site up same day. Obviously, because he's part of our team, that's an advantage, but any real estate agent could go to WordPress.com and get something set up right away, or if you hire a developer, really the max amount of time for a very complex solution is going to run you in the 6-week to 2-month process, and most of you can get something that's semi-custom for a couple of weeks. So WordPress, again, is very quick to launch, and that's a big advantage, and time is of the essence, so we wanted to launch as quickly as possible. We also have a level of design control and flexibility with WordPress that is not necessarily as accessible with designing a standard website solution, so that worked really well for us as well. And Google Analytics, which is the ability to track the amount of traffic and activity that is on our site, is something that WordPress works beautifully with. So one little snippet of code, we're able to track and see who's coming to our site, what content you all are looking at, and what parts of the country you're coming from. So that allows us to customize what we're saying and get into a level of content that's meeting the need of our consumer. So that's really a transferable kind of concept for real estate as well. You want to have something that allows you that level of trackability, and WordPress is brilliant for that. So we went with a WordPress hub for those reasons, and also then decided what our spokes were going to be. So spokes are going to be our social media channels, and we just selected YouTube in order to host all our videos. Obviously, we're doing a video blog, so that was going to be a core place. The reason we chose that is that it's a brilliant, large search engine for SEO. We're thinking that we have the best opportunity to start there. It was very easy and free to get started. We just have to upload our videos right there. Easy to track and embed the codes, have them be shared. It's something we were taking into consideration. And it's free. There was no issue for us to get started with it right away. And it also has a limit of 15 minutes per post, or video that we could upload. We wanted to make sure that what we're bringing you is brief and concise, under 15 minutes, so this helps us stick to that. So we may evolve this over time, but for us to launch and start, YouTube was one of our channels, and that's the first spoke that we chose. We also looked into Twitter. We anticipate that for our audience, Twitter is going to be a great vehicle for getting the word out and helping to share and spread this information. So we went through the process of researching, as I already mentioned, that Table Topics RE was an available handle and securing that. That's number one. And number two, we wanted to make sure that the hashtag that we selected, which for our purposes makes the most sense of TTRE for Table Topics RE, was not already actively in use. So everything worked out in our favor, and as a result, you're going to start to see some tweets from that channel and with that hashtag, again, purposely part of our strategy. So for us, those are our spokes. For you, you may also want to include Facebook, which we did look into, and as I've mentioned, we're working on securing that username. You have to have 25 people or more to secure your page name for a business page. And many of you also may want to look at LinkedIn, because that's generally excellent for personal branding and for real estate agents and mortgage professionals to start connecting with their network. All right, so the third thing that we did purposefully was we considered lead capture. We're doing all of this in order to also build a database. We want to be sure that we can communicate with people on an ongoing basis, and email is a very effective way to do that. So we installed and made sure that our content could get distributed out to people. They could subscribe via RSS feed, via FeedBurner, so that's one of the technologies we tied to our hub, which is another great reason why we went with WordPress. And so FeedBurner, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, that's one to jot down. And then we signed up for a MailChimp account, and we have the ability to subscribe to our site via email and we're running that subscription through MailChimp. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit about the technologies that we chose, but certainly that's part of our grand plan, is we want to be able to send you emails on new posts and information that we think will be relevant to our audience. So that was part 3. Part 4 is we considered the shareability of our content. We wanted to make sure that it could get out there. I already mentioned FeedBurner as one distribution method, so that people who want to subscribe via RSS, that's that little orange icon that you might notice on several websites. We also made sure that on the posts, each of the posts, we had the ability for you to like it on Facebook and share it. We implemented the new share button on Facebook so that you could share the post with maybe specific people or share it to your entire wall. We included the tweet button so that people could tweet out any of our posts that we like, as well as the LinkedIn share button. So those were the channels. There's certainly lots more you could choose, but we chose to keep it to those 4. We think those are the 4 major ones for our audience. Again, this comes back to knowing your audience, which is a step that we began before we even executed this strategy. I'm assuming you've already done that. You know who your audience is when you proceed with your implementation steps. The 5th thing we did is hired a graphic artist to design a logo and a brand for us. We have yet to launch that, but we've had a lot of discussions about what that will be. And one of the things I wanted to let you know is that we'll be having a consistent look across all of these channels once we have our branding in place. And one of the elements that's often overlooked is the fact that we really must have a square avatar or icon that we use in many of these channels. So Twitter, for example, is going to have a square representation, as well as the little icon that appears next to any Facebook post that we do under the brand. And you want to make sure that whatever logo you design allows for that square representation. Even if you design a vertical logo or a horizontal logo, it needs to have this mark that is a square orientation in nature to best facilitate branding kind of across the ways. You can see that really well done in the social media mastermind logo that's behind us. Obviously it's a very horizontal kind of look, but they have this square image of a light bulb mark that you'll see represented online in many of the channels. So a consideration when you're looking at online marketing and social media marketing in particular. Okay, the sixth thing we did is once we had kind of everything all lined up, we created content. So we started recording videos and made sure that we have a content plan. We're working on that, kind of doling out the responsibilities of who's going to be in touch with and responsible for the videos when. Make sure we're all getting together on a regular basis to bring you topics that we think are hot topics to discuss at the table with you. And we recorded videos. We also created some informational pages on our site so that most common questions are answered. We're referencing SMMOC all the time, so we did a post on what is SMMOC. Actually, we did a page on what is SMMOC. Again, WordPress is so flexible that it allows us to just create that kind of a page on the fly. We also created a page that talks about us as hosts so that you guys who might be interested in learning more about us could find out who we are and what our business background is. So that will grow over time, but clearly we wanted to purposely put out some content that will answer the most common questions and get us in tune with our audience right away. And then the final thing, which is really important, step 7, is we really gave up on perfectionism. I actually teach this when I talk about social media strategy, but there's nothing that's perfect about this site. And it actually drove Scott nuts when I said, I'm going to launch this. I'm posting it up on a private group that we have on Facebook for the SMMOC group. He's like, but the site's not done. And I said, we have to go for it. We just have to get it out there and we have to let it evolve. So we know that there's a lot of things that aren't perfect about the site. We certainly want our marketing image to evolve and our branding to become more consistent, but really we're focusing on providing great content and doing it on a consistent basis, and that's the core of our strategy through this hub and spoke distribution method. And if we do that well, we feel we can build upon all of the other elements over time, and we can bring those things more into line as our audience grows, and we prove that there's actually value in what we're doing. We don't want to have it be perfect and never get out there. We want to make sure that we just go and evolve and get into version 2.0 and 3.0 and 4.0 as quickly as possible. So hopefully that gives you a little insight about some of the specific steps we took in order to launch this, and you can learn some lessons that might apply to formulating your own social media strategy. As always, if you've got questions, please let us know. We'll be happy to dive into anything further. And until the next time, I'm Stacy Harmon with this edition of Table Topics RE. See you next time.